Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I have a good news for you, and it is that as you may know, the A1 exam changed, and I want to go through all the parts and explain what is exactly the change, what can you expect, and if it is a good news for you or not. First of all, a little explanation for people who might see this, I don't know, later or not. This exam will be changed since 1st of May 2023. So if it's, I don't know, 10 years later and you're watching it, this will be expired. And please check the date, make sure that this will apply to you. But if you're visiting it right now in 2023, then perfect. Okay, let's start. Okay, first I want to start with the parts that they are not going to change. It will be exactly the same as before. So the first part will be kennis van de Nederlandse samenleving. As you know, this part is about the knowledge of Dutch society. This is the part that it has 100 questions and 33 of it will come to the exam. This will be exactly the same. If it's your first time listening to this video and you don't know about the exam, I will link it in the description of this video, the link to the video that I completely explain all of it. So you have the sources, it's 100 questions, 30 of it will come, and that's it. The other part that is still the same is the spreekvaardigheid, which, as you know, this part is the one that it is for the speaking skills, and all the question will come from the 60 questions that they will ask you something, and you have to record your answer, which it should be 1 or 2 words. You don't need to make a full sentence. And the other part will be the 430 questions part we call, which it is a sentence and you have to fill in the sentence. This part will be exactly the same as before. We have all the questions, you just need to learn those. And again, in the previous video that I will write in the caption, these two parts I explained it completely, so I do not focus on it so much, unfortunately, on this video, but you can find it on my channel, like all other contents, it's free. So let's go to the part, and the only part that it's going to change. Okay, it's the lezen part or leesvaardigheid. As you know, this part was one of the parts that, because we didn't have the proper source for it, actually a lot of students would unfortunately fail, and especially the ones who do not speak English. Like if you are a person that do not speak English, like Turkish or Arab person, unfortunately, if you don't know English, you need a lot of time to get used to the even the letters or alphabet of English or Dutch. So it would make it very difficult. We had a lot of not problems, honestly, a lot of struggle for even Iranian people who wanted to pass the exam, and unfortunately people who were a bit old or a bit too young, and they didn't know English, it took a lot longer compared to English speakers to learn it and go through it, etc. Or they had to finish completely the Naar Nederland or any other books, in order to be able to pass this part. Why? Because it was 42 questions. This is usually the part that a lot of people had lack of time. Really, they couldn't make it because it's 42 questions. It's too much, and then it was only 35 minutes. So you had 35 minutes to answer it. The point is, the first two parts of this exam was, as you see here, it was to reading words or listening to words. So as you know, the first 15 question was that you would see a word, and then in the between the options you could choose the letters for that, so how to write that. The other one was that you would see a word and you had to choose the pronunciation. So it was 30 questions about that, and sometimes people have to play it multiple times to try to hear it exactly. People sometimes forget to consider the time, and that is what caused them issue when they reached the last part, which was the text. And in the sample questions here that Embassy gave it to us, unfortunately, it's very simple. You have all these easy tables and you just choose from it. But in the real exam, because I had a lot of students that they had big texts that they had to understand in order to answer the question. So it was a bit more difficult than what you get in the website. But yeah, and it needs time, especially if you're very beginner in Dutch, then it will be a little bit hard for you to understand it, and this would be the challenge for a lot of students. And also the point is, in order to pass this part, you had to pass both parts separately. So the parts for pronunciation, from the 30 question, you had to answer 24 of it. And the other part from the 12th question, you had to answer 9 of it correctly. This is what embassy announced, but honestly, based on my understanding, I think they changed the rule a little bit. And if in total you would answer like 35, I think they would let you, like, in total you would answer like the 24 plus the 9, which it will be 33. I think they would let you pass, because a lot of people were struggling with this, and I know some students that they didn't have time to answer all the 9, but they could pass in general. So I think they will consider it combined to help a little bit. But still, with that, I applied for so many people for the exemption because of this part, because it was really hard, it's really difficult. This is not something, if you don't know any Dutch or any English, this is not something you suddenly can start and in, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even 3 months, 4 months be able to pass. So I think this is the reason that the exam changed. They made it more easy, in my opinion. It's much easier compared to this structure that we have here. The new structure is this one. You have only 19 questions, which it is really good. It is really good. You can slowly read it. You can go through them, to understand, double check, blah, blah, blah. And from each text, we have only 2 questions. Almost all of them. Usually they have to make, because it's 19 questions, they have to probably 1 or 2 texts have more than 2. But the point is, if you are not able to read one text, you don't miss a lot, because with the previous one, most of them had 3 questions from each text, which it makes it a little bit difficult, of course, beginners. It's it's not nice, and plus the stress that people have usually, especially it's usually women, and they're a bit more stressed, in the exam, they want to join partner. I completely understand that people are not in their best in terms of showing their skills, So I think this became really easier. You still have the 35 minutes to pass this and answer this 19 question, which it gives you a little bit comfort to go through it and try to translate it, understand it. If you don't know any of a part of the text, you can skip it for the other ones and go back to that one simple question. And in order to pass these parts, now you need to answer 14 questions. So imagine previous time you had to answer 9 from 12. So you were only allowed to make 3 mistakes, and now you are allowed to make 5 mistakes. So it is, as a general thing, I think it's very positive, honestly. Still, they didn't start the exam because it's 18th of April. So when I have more information, when some of my students will go and take the exam, I will probably come, or either I will update the caption of this video, or I give you information in another video. So stay tuned if you have the exam after 1st of May. But in general, I am positive, honestly. I'm positive, and I hope you will be able to pass the exam through this structure, even if you couldn't do it through the previous structure. Give it a try and let us know in the comment section. And yeah, wish you all the best.